I feel like when the average person who doesn't watch anime hears the word anime, they'll either think of two things: the over-the-top action from shows like Attack on Titan and Dragon Ball, or the generic cutesy anime girl shows. And while the former is definitely getting a lot more recognition and has started to break the stigma of being a weird Japanese cartoon, I feel like the latter is still seen as such. I can understand why though. Without any context, these shows on the surface can, at times, either seem like blatant fan service or something that's made for kids. And yeah, sometimes that is the case, but with today's anime, we'll be discussing why that couldn't be further from the truth. So, at the risk of my family being embarrassed by me, I'm going to talk to you today why HitoriBocchi is one of my favorite animes in the recent seasons. The main thing that piqued my interest on this show was actually a gift I found on Reddit from this shot of the show. Now, if I checked out every anime I found on a GIF through Reddit, then I would have seen, and probably dropped, a lot more anime. There was more to it than that. I remember thinking that the art style was cute, even if it looked somewhat basic and simple, but I've never really been one to be bothered by that. Apologies for this quick tangent, but art style has almost never been a make or break thing for me. Almost. Looking at you. So if a show I'm interested in watching or currently watching has mediocre art style but still has a good plot, then I'm willing to look past it. Hell, my favorite anime of all time started out as a webcomic that had this art style. So what was it that got me really excited to watch this instead of writing it off from being another generic schoolgirl show? The plot. Here it is, HitoriBocchi's plot. A girl with social anxiety goes to a new school and must learn to make friends.
Wait, that's it? I told people in the beginning that this is one of the best shows I've seen in the past few seasons.
Okay, so let me explain what I mean by the plot intriguing me. This anime actually popped into my recommended at a really good time. I had just finally finished watching ReZero, and was in the middle of watching both Konosuba and One Punch Season 2. And while the latter two shows are more comedy than action, I was watching these fantasy action shows that, while I really like, started to feel samey. Even One Punch, because while Saitama is invincible and OP, there is still tension and action sequences with characters like Genos and Moomin Rider. That's not to say that these shows are bad. In fact, One Punch is my favorite show of all time, but suffice to say, I wanted the next show I watched to be something completely different, and that's exactly what I got with HitoriBocchi. But it's not to say either that this show is devoid from conflict. Far from it, actually. In a way, shows like HitoriBocchi have some of the best conflicts because, well, people can relate to them. Sure, it's fun to see both Kazuma and Subaru dealing with being in an alternate world in ways we may think we would do as well, but the truth is, I know that's never going to happen to me. Okay, well, I mean, if it does, I really hope I get one world over the other. But what I do get is the struggle of going to a new school and having to make all new friends. In fact, the main character, Bocchi-chan, deals with something similar to what I, and probably a lot of other people, went through. Going into the 6th grade, I had transferred from a public school to a Catholic school, where I knew maybe one person, but I wasn't really friends with them. Seeing Bocchi try to get out of being in her gigantic class reminds me of when I hoped that there wouldn't be enough space at my new school and I could just stay with my old friends. However, luckily for me, I wasn't completely in Bocchi's situation. In the show, she's shown to have extreme social anxiety and only one friend, Kai-chan, who wants Bocchi to make more friends, and to do this, Kai tells her that she won't be her friend again until Bocchi befriends her entire class. So, the formula is simple, but it leads to a really fun show. Some shows have bad plot, but good characters. Other shows have good plot, but bad characters. With HitoriBocchi, however, the plot and the characters are the same thing. Bocchi has to make friends with her class, meaning the plot is getting to know the characters. So if they were one note or boring, then this show really wouldn't be good to watch. But you know we wouldn't be here if that's the case, so let's get on to our 4 main characters.
Bocchi.
We'll go quick since we've already covered her a little bit, but evidently, she may be the most plain character out of them all. However, that isn't to say she's completely one note. In the beginning, Bocchi is determined to make friends with her entire class and starts with a girl sitting in front of her, Nako-chan. And while at first it's just to keep the promise to Kai, we see her trying to become closer with Nako. I feel like a more generic anime would just have Bocchi making a new friend each episode and do the same thing each time. She's nervous at first, but by the end of the show, the two are BFFs, rinse, repeat, and go for 12 episodes until she's made friends with her entire class or whatever. That's not the case here. It takes a couple episodes for her to just be comfortable around Nako-chan. And even then, Bocchi's still worried that she's going to be forgotten if she doesn't constantly talk to her, which may sound annoying on the surface, but actually really cute. The focus on Bocchi spending multiple episodes befriending just one person leads to some really cute and heartfelt bonding moments, which gets the viewer to really care about all the characters. Moving on to the best girl. Oh, I'm sorry, I mean Aru-chan. We start to see what makes the show better than your average schoolgirl anime. Aru is introduced in episode 2, and she's presented to be this perfect girl who's so sweet and nice, and what's that? She's also the class vice president. Yeah, this is where I started to roll my eyes a little. It was the popular girl trope, and the typical popular girl helps the shy girl overcome her anxiety and blah blah blah. Like I said, this was episode 2, the first half of it at least, and at the time, I wasn't binging the show. Episode 1 made me interested in the show because it was different from what I've been watching. Episode 2 was more or less cute enough that it kept me interested, but I figured if they kept the same formula, then the cutesy stuff would get old and only get me hooked for maybe 1 or 2 more episodes. Then I watched the rest of episode 2, and then I finished the show that night. The latter part of episode 2 is where we see Aru, but the real Aru. No, this isn't going to be like school days, don't worry. In the first half of episode 2, we only see Aru through the eyes of Bocchi, and since Bocchi is, shall we say, gullible, she only sees Aru as the perfect popular girl. But just a few minutes into the episode when we have Nako with us this time, we see that Aru is not perfect. Far from it. She's actually pretty unfortunate. And that was the moment I knew I was going to be spending the rest of my night watching this show. This show likes to take things and turn them on your head. Oh, you see that girl over there who looks like the perfect popular girl? Yeah, she's actually one of the most unlucky and clumsiest girl who only puts on a facade of being perfect to hide her true misfortune. Suffice to say, I was very excited for Bocchi to make more friends. The beautiful foreign girl, the one you'd probably expect to be super respectful and sweet, half of the gift that helped me discover the show in the first place. Ladies and gentlemen, otakus and weebs, I present to you Miss Satoko-san. Why did she come to Japan, you may ask? Did her parents get a job here? Is she wanting to learn more about the Japanese? Well, how about we let her tell you herself? What? What the? Yeah, she came to Japan by herself at the ripe age of 11 to become a ninja. God, I love this show. While trying to walk to school one day, she notices Bocchi, who seems to always try to blend into the crowd, and as any normal person would, she, mistakes her for a master ninja. She agrees to be friends with Bocchi only if she first teaches her to master the art of the ninja. And while it's never really revealed why she wants to become a ninja, maybe we'll get more of that in season 2, which I hope to God this show gets. It's implied that the reasons are important. Honestly though, some of my favorite moments in the show were when both Bocchi and Satoko were training, and hearing Satoko say, there's even more to her than that, since she doesn't have her parents with her and she's only Bocchi's apprentice and not friends, at least in her eyes. There's a sense of loneliness in her. But I don't want to make this video too long, and I want you to watch the show for yourself as well. So, moving on to the final person. This is probably going to be everyone's favorite girl. That's the case with my friend who's watching this right now. And, that's okay. Everyone is allowed to have their opinion. It's just, this one's wrong. Nako-chan starts out seeming like the scary girl, I guess. She wears a different outfit from the rest of the girls and gives off this, I'm sorry, but I really do not wish to speak to you at this time attitude. Also known as piss off. It's to the point that even the teacher is frightened by her in multiple episodes. The first thing she says to Bocchi is actually kind of demeaning, but Bocchi is thrilled by it because someone actually talked to her. And as Bocchi starts to get closer to her, we start to see that Nako's actually not a scary person. In fact, I think she feels a little lonely as well. We see little bits and pieces of her trying to make herself look more friendly, whether it's wearing fake glasses or just learning to smile more. And as the show goes on, she starts acting like an older sister to Bocchi. Whether it's teasing her or helping her make more friends, it's clear she cares for her a lot. It's even revealed that she starts bringing candy for her and Bocchi to have while they walk home together, which is the cutest f***ing thing ever. So, what is this show about? Well, it's about how each of these characters feel lonely in their own way. Whether it's Bocchi with her social anxiety, Nako with her scary vibe, Aru with her facade of being perfect, or Satoko with actually living alone. It's a story about how each of these girls overcome that loneliness by making friends with one another. And while on the surface it does sound cliche, it has some unique aspects that remind me how I felt when I was in middle school. I was desperate to make new friends in a new school. I got out of my comfort zone. I talked to people I never thought I would have talked to. I did things and went to events that were, at the time, terrifying to me because of my anxiety. I remember even looking at some people who are now my closest friends and thinking they were a certain type of person and ended up being the complete opposite. If nothing else, this show is one of the most realistic takes on how it feels to enter a new school and make friends. Yeah, it's cliche, but sometimes a little cliche doesn't hurt. So, my final score on HitoriBocchi is an 8 out of 10. Not perfect, but goddamn it's cute, so go watch it.
Hey guys, so I just want to say thank you for watching my review of HitoriBocchi. I definitely have a lot of fun making these review videos and definitely want to do more of them in the future. So if you have an anime or manga, movie, whatever you want me to do, let me know in the comments down below. And yeah, I just want to give a shout out to Geo Chittle and Emily for supporting me over on Patreon. You can go check that out. You can get early access, access to like scripts and commentaries to anime that I'm currently watching. And yeah, click somewhere on the screen to watch another video, or subscribe, or just, you know, go outside maybe.